One. Good afternoon, class. Dr. J checking in with you, and this video relates to Module 2. And I'm very excited about Module 2 because in Module 2 we start our discussion of Earth's atmosphere, which, as I think I've said before, is my favorite topic. So I'm just going to hit some of the highlights that you'll be learning about in Module 2, and of course you'll be going into a whole lot more detail as you work through the Mastering Geology website, do your reading of the text, and read the text as part of this module. But one of the first things you'll learn about in Module 2 is the distinction between weather and climate. Sort of a rough cut first take at the difference between the two is that weather you can think of as, climate you can think of as sort of long-term average weather. Now there's more to it than that, right? But that's kind of a good way, a snapshot way of thinking about the difference between weather and climate. Think of climate as sort of long-term weather, right? I mean, you get a weather forecast for the next day or maybe the following day or just a few days out. Whereas climate is on a much longer term basis, even though weather and climate deal with the same sorts of weather elements like temperature and pressure and precipitation and winds and clouds and humidity. All the things that you'll be learning about. Okay, so then we're going to move along and we'll chat about the vertical structure of the atmosphere. Probably the most important way of thinking about the vertical structure of the atmosphere is that we break up the atmosphere into layers on the basis of temperature. The lowest most layer is the troposphere, where temperature decreases on average with height. And then above that we've got the stratosphere, where on average temperature increases with height. Then above that we've got the mesosphere, where temperature reverses and decreases with height. And then our last layer, that's above the mesosphere, is the thermosphere, where temperature increases with height. And it's important that you remember those four layers, which are defined on the basis of how temperature changes with height. Also, you must learn why temperature behaves the way it does in each of those four layers. All right, so that's the vertical structure of the atmosphere on the basis of temperature. We'll also talk about what are the gases that comprise the atmosphere. Well, the two predominant gases you will learn are nitrogen, about 78% by volume in dry air in the atmosphere, and then oxygen is just a little less than 21% by volume, and that's dry. Those are the dry gases. We're excluding water vapor. Right? So that doesn't leave 78%, but plus nearly 21% doesn't leave a whole lot of room for anything else. But there are a bunch of we say variable and non-variable gases that are in smaller amounts in the air, like carbon dioxide and ozone, and you'll learn about all the others. So that's the gaseous composition of the atmosphere. Okay, after that discussion, we move on to air pollution. And first thing you'll probably learn in the notes is, from the notes and from your reading the text and the Mastering Geology website, is that air pollution is not a new problem, right? Since man has started to burn fossil fuels, really since the start of the Industrial Revolution, when we're burning a lot of fossil fuels, coal, oil, natural gas, wood, right? We've been polluting the atmosphere. And we've made some progress in cleaning up air pollution with respect to some forms of air pollution, but then some others, the so-called photochemical air pollution, ozone being one of the important ones, we have not had as much success. As a matter of fact, in Greensboro, where UNCG is, during the summer months we often have very high, unhealthy levels of ground level ozone, and that is primarily from the cars that we drive emitting fossil fuels, right? And sunlight and high temperatures are involved. That's why we only produce ground level ozone during the warm months of the year. Okay, those are the highlights from Module 2. You'll be learning a lot more than that, and I really hope you enjoy this module. So I leave you on this beautiful evening as the sun is setting in that direction. I'm looking east behind me. You can see some beautiful clouds that are now dissipating because a cold front has gone through.